Have you ever wondered why some things, or even some people, just break under pressure while others seem to bounce back without a scratch? Well, it all comes down to how we're built to handle chaos. Today, we're going to dive into what I call the architecture of resilience. First things first, let's just get one thing straight. The world is, by its very nature, unpredictable. Random events, sudden shocks, constant change. This isn't the exception, you guys. This is the rule. Life is always going to throw curveballs. So that leads to the million-dollar question. When those inevitable shocks hit, what happens? How are we, or the systems around us, designed to respond? Because that reaction, well, it defines pretty much everything. To figure this out, let's imagine a ladder of strength. And we're going to start right at the bottom rung. First up is the fragile state. And to make this super clear, I want you to picture a delicate little teacup. So what does it really mean to be fragile? It's pretty straightforward. It's a state that just craves order, quiet, and predictability. You know, it's that thing you'd slap a big handle with care sticker on. And this brings us to the most important thing about fragility, its relationship with chaos. It doesn't just dislike randomness, it is actively harmed by it. You drop that teacup, and that's it. Story over. It shatters into a million pieces, and there is no coming back. Okay, so if fragile is at the bottom of the ladder, then being resilient has got to be a step up, right? This is what most of us aim for. So let's climb up to the next rung and meet our new metaphor, the resilient rock. Resilience is all about endurance. It's the ability to take a hit. You can drop a rock, hit it with a hammer, leave it out in a storm for 1,000 years, and what happens? Well, it's still a rock. It takes the shock and goes right back to its original state. So the key word here is indifference. Unlike that fragile teacup which gets destroyed by chaos, the resilient rock just doesn't care. It weathers the storm, no problem. But, and this is really key, it doesn't learn anything from the experience. It doesn't change or get better. It just survives. All right, this is where things get really, really fascinating. We've seen things that are harmed by chaos and things that are just indifferent to it. But what if there's another level? Let's climb all the way to the top of our ladder. Seriously, just pause and think about that for a second. We're not talking about just surviving stress anymore. We're talking about actively benefiting from it, a system that actually thrives on randomness and volatility. And that, my friends, is anti-fragility. It's the true polar opposite of fragile. If being fragile is like having a sign that says, please don't touch, being anti-fragile is like shouting, hit me, challenge me. That's exactly what makes me better. And the Hydra from Greek mythology is the perfect image for this. The myth goes that if you cut off one of its heads, two would go back in its place. The Hydra doesn't just endure the attack. It uses that very damage as a signal to overcompensate and come back even more formidable than before. Now, I know what you might be thinking, a mythical Hydra? Really? But this concept is not a fantasy. Anti-fragility is actually all around us. Let's look at some very real-world, practical examples. First up, lifting weights. When you work out, you are literally applying stress to your muscles. You're creating tiny micro tears in the fibers. But your body's response is amazing. It doesn't just repair the damage. No, it rebuilds the muscles to be bigger and stronger, to be better prepared for that stressor next time. That is pure anti-fragility in action. Or how about vaccines? A vaccine introduces a small, controlled stressor, a weakened piece of a virus into your body. Your immune system gets challenged, it fights back, and in doing so, it learns. It builds up an army of defenses, making the entire system more robust and ready for a real future attack. This idea even works at a massive ecosystem level. Think about small, regular forest fires. They might seem destructive, but they are actually incredibly beneficial. They clear out all the dead, flammable brush on the forest floor. And by doing that, they prevent a tiny spark from turning into a massive, uncontrollable inferno. The forest, by enduring these small shocks, actually becomes healthier and stronger. So, we've climbed the entire ladder. We went from fragile to resilient all the way up to anti-fragile. Let's put it all together for one final takeaway. And here it is, all laid out. The fragile teacup breaks because it absolutely hates chaos. The resilient rock endures because it just ignores chaos. But the anti-fragile Hydra, it improves because it actually loves chaos. It literally feeds on it. You know, we've all heard that phrase a million times, but now you know what it's really describing. It's the simplest, most powerful definition of anti-fragility there is.
And all of this leaves us with one final, crucial question to think about. In your own life, in your career, in the systems you design, what are you building? Are you building a teacup that's just waiting to shatter? A rock that simply endures? Or are you building a hydra, something that actually grows from adversity? The choice is yours.